Okay, how's everyone doing tonight? So I got lots of good questions here already flooding in from the show. I got one new YouTube member, Glitched. Thank you for signing up. I just launched memberships on my YouTube channel. Paul Shields here is also a member. Again, yeah, we'll get to these kinds of I'll get to those questions first and pay more attention to you if you're a member, as always. Sometimes I can't always answer everybody. Um, now, yes, this is certainly an interesting point, and I think one of the places that I would recommend we begin our investigation into motive. Police have not yet established a motive, or they've also not figured out where the gun is. So let's talk about this crime scene and just look at this situation real quick. So on the left here is the science building with the Jan lab, where he ran a nanophotonics laboratory, and it's right next to this building, across from the clock tower there, and on the University of Chapel Hill campus. Now, the University of Chapel Hill has a serious history of classified research going on here. If people aren't aware, the 1957 Chapel Hill Conference on the role of gravitation in physics was held here at University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. And this was a meeting that a lot of the top physicists in the world attended at the time, and it was a pivotal point in the history of quantum gravity and gravitational research. This is one of the things that was discussed at the Chapel Hill Gravity Conference was the sticky bead argument that Richard Feynman had apparently invented this and had held on to it for a number of years and never talked to anyone about it. I don't know if he was being withheld from talking about a lot of his research at the time, because in the late 1950s, Richard Feynman was apparently working with private aerospace. He was going and visiting the Alibi Room, which is right next to, right out near Wright-Patterson and a lot of those facilities. So he was thought to have been involved in a lot of this, top secret research. Of course, we know that Bonson and why can't I think of the other one? It's Bonson and Bonson Labs, down the air conditioner manufacturer down in North Carolina, who was connected with doing some of the research at it's Andrew Bonson. So it would be Andrew Bonson. If we could find an article on this, and I don't know if we can find it on Wikipedia. Bonson Labs. I have a video posted that was from the archives of the 1956 to 1959 gravity research that was classified around this time that went on at Bonson Labs in North Carolina, which is, of course, very close to where Chapel Hill is. And indeed, in part of this movie, let me see if I can find the exact spot. At one point, you can see Bryce and Cecil DeWitt come and visit the lab and take a tour, and they're on camera in this old, archive footage from back in the day. I forget where exactly the timestamp is that shows them, but I have a photograph of them visiting the lab, which wasn't far from the University of North Carolina Chapel Hill campus. So back to the whole murder. The murder happened in this Caudill Labs building right here on campus. And apparently, he left before the cops really got there. He just went in and shot his professor, and then came out and then left. And then later, about an hour and a half later, he was arrested over here in Colonial Heights on Williams Circle. That's where the police detained him and picked him up. I guess he was hiding out in the woods somewhere near there. And so, in any case, that was the story. But I went and took, this is the starting point, and that's where he ended up. And then I took, plot a walking path from here to there. That gun has got to be ditched somewhere not too far from this walking route here. That I would have probably cut across this thing and then jumped, gone across here and gone, stayed off the main roads with the cops. So I'm thinking the gun's like over here somewhere behind the Lark Chapel Hill apartment complex, somewhere over here near Cobb Terrace. But what do I know? In any case, it's crazy because they don't have any motive for why, why he'd shoot Professor Jan. And Jan seemed like such just a great person. He was doing amazing research into all kinds of stuff. If you look up his papers on Google Scholar, we'll get into that in just a second. Yeah. So here's his page right on the website, right? And I know, seriously. He was murdered right on campus. They still don't know why, right? So he's doing research there. He runs the lab there, and they do research on optical trapping, binding, and sorting, synthesis and fabrication of nanostructures, holographic laser beam shaping, electrodynamic simulations, and nanobiointeractions, and optofluidics. So fluids that are nano-optical, yeah. And so we've done bismuth nanoparticles and shown that they fluoresce with lasers. We're actually using them we're going to build a little keychain that has a blue laser in it that just runs on a couple regular, laser pointer batteries, and a little thing of bismuth nanoparticles that will fluoresce, and we'll make it look like a Cherenkov reactor core. So in any case, this is what Jan was into. This is a job opportunity that was posted back in April, and it says that the Jan lab in the Department of Applied Physical Sciences at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill is looking for a few sophomore or junior undergraduate students to receive training and conduct research in the lab. The lab is equipped with the state-of-the-art facilities for nanomaterials and photonics research. And some of our previous and current undergraduate researchers are co-authors of our papers. If you're interested in nanomaterials, photonics, and machine learning, please submit an application to the Positron's website of the lab website. Now, this is super crazy because what were we just talking about on this program with Jack Sarfati and all these top scientists that are speaking out about how UFOs work and what is the real, UFO tech research getting into? Okay. We talked about this, specifically photonics, machine learning, and nanomaterials. And the fact that this guy who's top of his game, let's look into this guy, because listen, he got his PhD at Rensselaer Polytech in 2011, okay? Rensselaer Polytech is also a college that we've found in our classified research, if you're aware of the history. So that's Lake Marabou, and that's the guy who ran NASA's project for Project Skyvault and others. Yeah, so he's an aerospace and engineering professor at Rensselaer Polytech, and he retired from there in 2011, the same year that Jan graduated. Interesting. He made the first demonstrations on the use of ground-based lasers to propel objects, lifting them hundreds of feet. And his goal was to use ground-based lasers to propel objects into orbit. And worked on this for NASA. In fact, he's got some classified contracts currently until 2027. And his book was they literally bought out all the copies of his book by the DoD, and he's got a detailed book, by the way, called the LTE Flight Craft Manual, like Marabo, and yeah, LTI 20, it's called. Yeah, this is it right here. This book will tell you everything you want to know and more about laser light craft propulsion. And of course, after they moved the lasers off of the ground, so they first started with ground-based lasers, but as you see in the picture on the cover of this book, this craft, they moved the laser actually on the craft itself. And so the craft is using the laser itself to, oh, Meat Shield, thank you so much for the membership subscription. Thank you for that. That's awesome. We're a small channel, and we're growing steadily and past the shadow bands and everything else, because we do talk about real technology here. Yeah, I think I know some stuff. I know the more that I learn, the more okay, I think you're off thinking this is a conspiracy. Who said this was a conspiracy? I never once said that, and I take offense to that. I never once said that this was a conspiracy. I just said it's interesting, and this guy may have ties to other organizations, because you haven't established a motive for why he shot his professor, and neither have the police. So as far as we know, there could be a conspiracy. Now, the fact is, some people have a big misconception about what a conspiracy is, right? Now, let's look up the definition of the word conspiracy. All a conspiracy is when two or more people agree to commit a crime together. That's all a conspiracy is. In fact, hundreds of people are convicted in this country every day of committing crimes with other people, corroborating with a co-defendant. Okay, that's, if you have a co-defendant in court, then you're being charged with a conspiracy. You've been watching way too many leftist, conspiracy blow-off channels, and those people have no idea what they're talking about, and they've brainwashed you. If you're completely new to my channel and you don't think that I know some shit about some shit, then I'm sorry. You've come to the wrong place. Go back to, yeah, whatever. We're going to get back to real discussions now until someone else comes up with a motive for why. We're just trying to do an investigation, okay, to come up with a motive for why anyone would want to kill this man who's a father of 3 young girls, right? So this is his donate page, and you can go and help to donate. I think I put this, hopefully I put that in the description. If I didn't, then let me know. But yeah, here's another interesting course description. So he's teaching courses on nanophotonics and applied nanophotonics. This is very interesting stuff. Yeah, so this is, I want to find the picture of his daughters, and I had it, but I can't find it now because it's, I want people to, I don't know if they took it down or what happened to it. There it is. So there's him with his daughter, and these are young girls. Someone had to have known this guy's got kids. He's not too old. He only graduated in 2011 with his PhD. He's got a whole career ahead of him, and he was doing amazing work. He graduates from Rensselaer Polytech, where I mentioned Lake Marabou is a professor, and there's tons of classified work going on there into, lasers and spacecraft and all that kind of stuff in general, secret space programs, real legit secret space program stuff. So he comes from that college, and now he's going to Chapel Hill, which is another college notorious. We have the, documented, this is documented. This is Richard Feynman, okay? who was there at this conference in 57 doing secret gravity research. I did there's a whole documentary about this on Kurt Jamungel's channel. If you go to TOE Kurt, and if you go to his channel and look up anti-gravity, there's it's called Quantum Gravity Exposed: The Dark History of Anti-Gravity. And this documentary is based on, in part, some of my research. In fact, I'm thanked in the description here on the video for some of the links and leads that I provided into some of this background history. So yeah, Agnew Bonson, it was Agnew Bonson is his name, not Andrew, it was Agnew. And Roger Babson is the other one. He's from Tufts University. So Babson and Bonson are these two guys that fund all these, he's funding early Lockheed Martin. This is Martin Marietta Corporation back in the 50s. And this is all the old secret space program stuff, man. Like we've literally like helped expose this on this channel has like been instrumental in bringing this out to the public over the last 10 years. So I'm not trying to like brag or anything. I hate people that brag because it's so much more left to do. And I know I could have done so much of a better job if there was less crap and disinformation that we had to go and sift through on our way to find the truth. And sometimes you have to, get through that stuff because it's there, and you may be overlooking something if you don't dig through that haystack to find every needle. But in any case, definitely, if you're not familiar with the physics and your physics knowledge consists of, I did my PhD in this, and I got a degree in physics, and I have not looked into this particular subject matter in this particular curriculum. Well, here it is, and there's lots more if you want to get into all the papers and really dig into John Archibald Wheeler and of course, University of Chapel Hill scientist the Wheeler DeWitt equation. So Wheeler worked with Bryce DeWitt of University of Chapel Hill. This is Bryce DeWitt and his wife. Bryce DeWitt and his wife worked at University of Chapel Hill, and they were on this secret anti-gravity conference, and they chose it to be held at University of Chapel Hill because of the obscurity and that nobody would really look into something like this. And now it's possible that that there are more connections between 1957 and 2023 with what has gone on at Chapel Hill. I know that when did Bryce DeWitt taught there for a number of years up until, oh, well, boy, there's a whole bunch of more stuff that we can get into from that time period. Okay, so let's get into this. So Richard Feynman, we'd mentioned, he was on that panel. And Richard Feynman was working with Onsager's ideas back in 55 on the idea of these quantum vortices and in connection with why helium becomes a superfluid. And oh, thank you so much for the 5 pounds, mate. Glad we could do an earlier stream so our brothers across the pond can catch it as well. So thank you for that. I really appreciate it, man. We've this is it. I'm just gonna. We don't need to brag, man, on this channel. I don't even know why I waste my breath on these people, but it's just kind of funny because they still believe Bob Lazar, and I'm getting into the real physics and the real scientists that stuff's on the mainstream for a reason. It's to distract you and keep you on chasing red herrings, and it's for them to beat up in the scientific community so that it's you think it's good, legit evidence, but real physicists, it's a straw man, and now they don't want to look into any UFO stuff because all you had to show them was Bob Lazar, and they think that that's all there is to offer in the field. and that's not the case. The CIA has taken UFOs very seriously. They were created 3 days after Roswell. The NSA, under the National Security Act, created the NSA and the CIA, and the history has just gone from there. 10 years later is when we get into some of this interesting 1950s work, where they started these programs in the early 1950s, and this is what they developed into, because many of these Manhattan Project scientists, such as Richard Feynman, were retained by these programs after World War II. And so now these models, these ideas of these vortices were applied to describing the magnetic phase diagram for type 2 superconductors by Alexei Abrakovsov. Now, in 1935, Fritz London published a very closely related work on magnetic flux quantization in superconductors. All right, so this is Fritz London. So was working on a lot of this stuff about 20 years before these guys were rediscovering it, which happens a lot in the physics literature. Just on its own, it doesn't even need, this doesn't even need a conspiracy, okay? So if you were to add a layer of, intelligence agencies working to try to cover up some of this research, it really wouldn't be that hard. A lot of it's just security by obscurity. And it's really, people wonder, like, well, look at this. Look at how many times physics has been lost and then rediscovered. So how hard is it to really classify and hide this stuff when it's so obscure that only a few people understand it or talk about it anyways? But we understand a lot more of the science now, so we can look back at this and kind of reconstruct just what did they know and when, and who was figuring it out and who was working on it, and were those people co-opted? Well, we know Richard Feynman was, right? So there's evidence of that. Of course, he was, doing work in the Manhattan Project, and then afterwards in all these other areas. So, in any ways, how was I going to relate this to later research on? And I'm getting too many windows open now. But this goes back to later research. So 1958, we have theoretical physics, this Bogoliubov transformation, okay? Bogoliubov transformation, or the Bogoliubov-Volatin transformation, was independently developed in 1958 by Nikolai Bogoliubov and John George Volatin for finding solutions of BCS theory, which is the theory of superconductors, based on Bardeen, Cooper, and Schrieffer, and their theory. Cooper being the guy who invented Cooper pairs and the Cooper pairing of electrons, which is key to this whole dance that the electrons do inside of a superconductor. The Bogoliubov transformation is an isomorphism of either the canonical commutator relation algebra or canonical anti-commutation relation algebra. This induces an autoequivalence on the respective representations. So back to, they got this research being done simultaneous with some of this research in 57 and 55. And of course, these quantum vortices can be applied to the field of exciton-polariton superfluids, which is, again, what we're talking about in terms of how these UFOs might use light, superfluid light, right? So let's go back now to all this stuff that they were researching in these classified programs connected to Chapel Hill and connected to, Rensselaer Polytech comes later. That's, the 1980s with the Star Wars SDI program funding these projects through the Reagan administration and stuff. This was more post, World War II. Maybe Atomic Energy Commission was running these kind of programs. It's hard to know how many different intelligence agencies and scientific groups were involved. The Jasons, one that comes to mind. But you relate this back to the shooting of Gigi Yan. I don't know how to say that or how I'm saying it properly. He was in 2011 to 2015, he helped develop a new material called optical matter, consisting of metal nanoparticles held together by light. So, George, thank you for the 15-pound super chat and membership, man. Lord Jamington, sorry, not George, Lord Jamington. May I ask, these radars, the FLIRs, et cetera, don't they all come from the same PSYOPs? Well, PSYOPs is a whole different branch now. You're mixing things up. So no is the answer to that question. PSYOPs is a utilization of technology. So we discuss technology on this program, and even including technology that can be utilized for PSYOPs. We always advocate that this disclosure is being done for the common good so that people are aware of the technical capabilities that their government has, so that they can better identify UFOs, UAPs, and protect themselves from technology. So again, PSYOPs is a utilization of the technology, and you don't. There's often a lot of different technologies that can be used in PSYOPs, and perception management, perspective management, propaganda, repetition. So a lot of these radars. So radar came from Tesla. Tesla was trying to tell the military about radar for about 20 years before they realized, that he wasn't a crackpot and they should maybe start paying attention to this guy. That's how often the scientific community and the military and everything else works. Is they just think, oh, look at this guy, he's a crackpot. What does this guy know? In any case, these the FLIR, that's infrared stuff and optical stuff. It's a different era, and of course, you have Project Rainbow with Edward Mills Purcell, who won the Nobel Prize in 46 for nuclear magnetic resonance, and that led to the whole idea of optical cloaking and metamaterials, all stemmed out of Project Rainbow. The first metamaterials were actually developed for the Oxcart program, and it was a material called the wallpaper. Peter Merlin talks about this when he goes out to the X-plane crash sites, and digs up material, and he shows some material from a crashed U-2 that had this wallpaper material on it, and demonstrates it, shows like actual pieces of it and stuff. So they're all different programs, man. It's not all the same, and there's lots of compartmentalization, lots of independent people just working on stuff that's not related to classified stuff sometimes. So again, this guy might have just been a real nice guy to everybody except this guy, and this guy got mad at him. What's the motive here? Why would you throw away your PhD and your whole academic career to go kill your professor, who's doing all this great research, and he's this smart, nice guy who laughs and smiles at everybody? There's something more to this story. It doesn't make sense. It's not like this guy was a dickhead, or he's going to fail or lose his degree, or there's some backstory here. What is the motive for first-degree murder? This is a pre-planned assassination of his professor. This is how it's just trying to make sense of this, man. And I don't expect everybody to agree all the time, and I hope we don't agree, because if we all agree, then it's just gonna be. For I would hate to be one of those guys in ufology that hires a bunch of sock accounts and shills to go and bully everybody that disagrees with the research and the stuff that I'm putting out, man. Um, and that's what they do with the other camps, so like I got, Corbell blocks me, and then he gets a whole bunch of people to like bully up on me and call me the disinformation agent so that people won't listen to me. And it's like, what are you putting out there? You're talking about element 115, and what? You're not talking about real science or anything else. So that's a psyop and a misdirection in itself. And I've talked about that a lot. It's kind of crazy. He's blocked me completely, and I'd rather have dissenting voices on this channel, and I'd rather have people that disagree and show me where I'm full of shit. Because if I'm wrong or getting something wrong, then I nothing I like more than being corrected and having better information. Again, precision over ego. People get so emotionally attached, financially attached, and otherwise attached to a theory or a narrative, and they can't see outside that. They get cognitive dissonance. It's a real thing, and they're literally not able to open their minds or think beyond their dim-witted views to see that there might be something bigger or more going on. Yeah, money, drugs, women, maybe. Uh, yeah. I don't know, man. This is I don't know, and I don't know either, and I don't claim to know, and I don't claim there was a conspiracy. I'm not claiming there was. All I'm doing is just doing research and trying to draw some interesting parallels, because this guy's working on a new material called optical matter using nanoparticles of light, runs this nanophotonics lab, this University, North Carolina, Chapel Hill, involved with known classified research projects in the past. And again, he's gets shot. We don't know where the gun is, don't know the motive, but this guy's charged. We know that he was from Wuhan, right? He went to Wuhan University in 2015 and got a master's degree in material science from Louisiana State University in 2021. And then I think he got a PhD somewhere else before coming to Jan's group. Maybe, I don't know what the mistake is here, because if he left LSU in 21 and went to UNC Chapel Hill in 22, how do you get a master's degree and a PhD? Where's the PhD? Because this says PhD, this says master's degree. This is why I hate Wikipedia, and Wikipedia sucks. But in any case, I guess he wrote several cryptic social media posts expressing frustration with the atmosphere in the workplace. So apparently he moaned about the bullies and his head of the lab online. So I wonder what kind of atmosphere and what was really going on in the lab. Was there's just something else? This guy just got pushed too far and decided that, rather than quitting my job and going to try to work somewhere else or go do something else, I should really just bring a gun to work and shoot my professor. I mean, it doesn't make a heck of a lot of sense, In any case, if anyone wants to look into, I'm sure more evidence is going to pour out and come out. They got a ton of FBI people working on this and digging into this currently and doing investigations into potential motives. And I'm sure I'm, I'm sure they haven't ruled that out at this point. I'm sure the investigation is still ongoing, and it's just Yeah, maybe he just um I don't know. Anyways, it's hard to say, man, but it's a tragedy. It's really sad, and I feel bad for his little girls that are never going to see him again. Man, I just hate that. That just makes me so upset that if this guy was just really some pissed off student who had a bad day at work, that this was the way to deal with it. It's not. That's not the way to deal with any situation. It doesn't solve anything. Even if the guy's, he was doing good things at the lab. It looks like, unless like the CPP, brainwashed him and got in his head and convinced him, that hey, this guy's, a key person in the United States' technology. So this is the thing, right? Is if the Chinese are trying to get a leg up on the Americans in the next tech step, the next game, because this is like beyond microchips. This is the next step. This is really the winner of this tech war that I'm talking about right now is going to win World War III, is going to rule the world for the next, however long. Whoever can get to this tech first is going to be the ones who will rule the friggin' world. And I don't know if there's people in our government that know this. Maybe that this guy was taken out as a brain drain kind of tactic or technique. I don't know, but it just seems like there's something more going on here because this technology and what we're talking about here, uh, the idea that you can make superconductors and that they actually expel gravitational fields, and that there's a way to not just take the superconductor effect to the next level. So the superconductor effect is just the first level in physics that we've discovered, where it expels all the electromagnetic fields, therefore making it superconductive, because all the fields stick to the surface and travel along the surface, and are shared along the surface as a single quantum object. So this is the idea that if we are to, use superconductor physics and take it to this next level with gravitational expulsion, where we expel the gravitational fields, then we've created anti-gravity. And now here's an interesting paper. This is Leggett on talking about the Bogoliubov-Degenez equations, right? I wish I could explain this better, but if you go into here and really get down to it, it talks about teleportation, instantaneous teleportation. And these are some of the guys that worked on it and talk about it. So in any case, it's something worth looking into. I'm going to post all these in the description so people can go and check out these papers. Yeah, the normalcy bias. In any case, I don't know. There's more people probably over watching Bernie's channel, and I'm right now taken away from Bernie's channel to talk about this stuff. I should have just kept the stream going, but it was a different topic, and I don't know. He was getting into all that crazy stuff with those damn Incan Olmec skulls, and I mean the artifacts and stuff. I just can't believe any of that stuff. It just seems so like manufactured and fake to me, man. But I don't. Yeah, Bernie is the. I was just on live with Bernie a little bit earlier, just a little while ago, on his channel, and I just dropped off of that because I was just like, I don't know. And then we had that Eric Hecker guy on talking about the Ice Cube station down there, and Wardenclyffe Tower and all that stuff. And then the thing on the lighthouse on Montauk, the end of Montauk. And he mentioned going in a skiff, and they search you down before you go in there. And the CIA is working on a material where they actually weave the spy devices, the cameras and the microphones, are so small they can weave them into the fabric of your clothing. So the actual CIA program is called Smart E-Pants. Smart E-Pants. And so they're throwing $22 million in taxpayers' money, the Director of National Intelligence, to developing clothing that records audio, video, and location data. So, yeah, in case your spy disappears, you can monitor him through his clothing fibers. Talk about threads, right? What'll they think of next? Again, no motive, man. What's going on with this guy? Quantum vortices, very interesting stuff. Again, this is the physics that's going on around that time period that I think might have gone classified, because it's now coming out here 70 years later with disclosure and the research that we've done extensively trying to track down the physics on UFO technology and where the real science is of the matter. So that way we have actually something that real that we can dig into and look into, versus the evidence or lack of evidence and just storytelling that we've seen so far from ufology and even the congressional hearings, which have so far omitted all discussion of, the 38 papers, for example, that Stephen Aftergood FOIA and got from that FOIA with the 38 military studies that, these secret UFO programs, a bunch of them are just junk and worthless. And some of these scientists, we know about and have gone over in detail about. I think some of these programs scientists were put out there as just obscurity to hide some of the real people that are much more along the lines, like the invisibility study, for example, cites this guy, Ulf Leonhardt. Right here, invisibility cloaking, Ulf Leonhardt. And we know that Duke University has the best invisibility cloaking program, and they're like number one, not whoever Ulf Leonhardt is in St. Andrews University is not. So certain things like that we've looked into, metallic glasses, of course, you get John Hopkins University, this guy, Dr. Hufnagel. And we actually have one of the expert in metallic glass, the foremost expert, one of the foremost experts is a friend, is one of my good friend's cousins, and her name's Wendy. But yeah, so I have tracked down these programs and these technologies in much, much better detail than the government's own studies have looked into these things. And this was the ATIP OSAP program, or OSA program. And you can go look up the OSA DIRDs, right? And those are DIRD, it's going to find birds. So you're going to have to write black vault in there. Because on the black vault right here, the advanced weapon systems, and here's the link for that. So people can go and actually download the DIRDs, which are Defense Intelligence Reference Documents. And these contain all the technical data on UFOs. There's a whole bunch of them right here. So here's all the ones that were declassified and released. And this was a great moment for us here in the Alien Scientist channel, because it was a lot of confirmation that, yeah, this stuff is, related to UFOs. I at least, finally the government, maybe the government's what was watching our channel that we were talking about a lot of this stuff, and said, hey, we're gonna investigate and do studies on these things too. And so they put a bunch of great resources together. There's awesome bibliographies in here for additional literature for people that want to get deep into the Black Project programs related to UAP and UFO technology. None of this is ever talked about in the mainstream or on the it's never talked about on any of the congressional hearings so far. It's not talked about in a lot of the big mainstream platforms. It's just completely left out of the conversation, man. And that's for a reason. That's no mistake. All right. You're learning it here again on the Alien Scientist channel, and we rely on your user support. Thank you, Joe Valachi, for the membership. We really appreciate everyone who's helped support this channel. And if you like the content, please consider super chatting or signing up for a monthly membership so that we know that you guys care, and we'll continue to produce good content and good research investigations. Invaluable and in the near to mid future. This tech that will be developed out of this stuff is going to be game changing in terms of the future of aerospace dominancy, all domain dominancy. And the fact that our legislators are, not taking it as seriously. I mean, I think maybe the DoD did a gameplay where they're like, well, we want to not release too much about the actual tech, but we're going to, play a threat scenario where we can try to get some more funding to research this stuff. But maybe that was just a bad go, because you have to go full force with this and let the president know that it's almost like a Manhattan Project needs to be started. This is like A-bomb tech. It's basically like Slizard letter to the Einstein Slizard letter to about the atomic technology. Think about this. Yeah, the CCP would definitely have a motive. That's brain drain. Okay, that's like taking out one of our top researchers in one of the top universities in the field of the one thing. This would be like if it was 1940, 42. Right? Yeah, say it was 1942, and someone suddenly just went and shot up the whole class at like Princeton or something. Let me think. Yeah, someone shot John Archibald Wheeler or Teller, or it would be like one of the top people in the physics community at the time developing the atom bomb technology. Okay, that's what it would be like if the equivalent of killing this professor at UNC Chapel Hill here, this guy. Who is involved in all this stuff, which is directly related to the top of the game of everything that we've been talking about on this channel in terms of the classified UAP technology, the stuff that they're not bringing out there, that hidden by putting Bob Lazar and Jeremy Corbell front and center so that everyone focuses on the fake crap. And this is it. This is, I mean, the fact that there's so many haters on here trying to tell me that I shouldn't be talking about this topic just tells me that I need to dig into this a lot deeper. The fact that this guy is researching all the stuff that is related directly to this top of the line technology, and then he gets murdered. Yeah, that's the equivalent of someone in 1942 going and killing Enrico Fermi, or going and killing J. Robert Oppenheimer, or going and killing, and you just, Yeah, I don't know. Anyways, you always get the most flack when you're over the target. That's not always true. Sometimes, because I give Jeremy Corbell a lot of flack for not being over the target, right? So it depends on who is giving the flack. Again, this is not my. That's not my. Why do I take it to court? All I'm going to do is take it to my scientific laboratory, and I'm going to take it as more confirmation that these technologies that we're onto are very serious. They're the real deal, and they're so serious that maybe that we don't know that as a motive yet. We don't know what his motive is. If it was the technologies that caused him to kill his professor. In fact, it could be completely unrelated. It could just be like the stress of that lab and work environment and his personality. But he didn't seem like he was a bad guy. It didn't seem like he's like maybe he's just there's other people at work that were bullies they don't know the situation fully, and neither do you or any of us yet. But just like the JFK assassination and other things, we're going to look into it. And I don't care if the government doesn't like us looking into it and doesn't, wants to pay YouTube and other people to deplatform us for talking about these types of subjects. They can, but again, I never alleged that. I never alleged that there's a conspiracy, and again, I'm just drawing parallels between the scientist, and all the things that he's connected to that are connected to things that I know are connected to classified special access programs of the kind that I'm talking about here, that I share with you here and give you the names of the scientists, the contractors, the programs, books, literature, papers, everything that you need as a skeptic or a scientist to go and do the research on your own and back it up, And, you could sit here and call me the fraud and be like, I'm going to go watch Jeremy Corbell now and see what Weaponized has to say. Yeah, Bob Lazar. You have to go and do your research on Bob and just really dig into it. The fact that Bob wasn't testifying at those hearings, and the fact that he lied about his education and a lot of other things, he did change his story. There was previous mentions of element 115 and lots of other things in his story that he could have got the information from. Yeah, I can understand. It took me a while to get over that one, and it wasn't until I met a guy that actually worked at Area 51 that showed me a lot of the ropes and taught me a lot of stuff that I started to learn and really get into then I met some people that were deep into John Lear's camp and really, yeah, I haven't done that yet, man. And, so far, Corbell thinks he's, got the upper hand by just staying in the limelight of all these Joe Rogan shows, going on Joe Rogan for the 5th or 6th time now. And you could tell that I've gotten to him because he talks about, the debunkers or the people, the naysayers and or the haters, but he won't mention us by name, and I'm the biggest one out there. I'm his top detractor. So the fact that he won't mention me by name just shows you what a coward he is, a complete and total lack of a man. No balls whatsoever. The guy has an ego twice the size of his intelligence. He's a mental midget, understands nothing about physics or science, has no background. And the fact that he's now put in the position to represent ufology, like he's the expert now, bro. Are you kidding me? It's almost like ridiculous that they picked this guy, maybe we could get into let's see the quest for UFO transparency. So here's the latest, right? Is this the latest? What's the latest videos here? 3 days ago. Shall we? I don't want to get sued by him, so I can't play any of this or even listen to it, because he's the type of little coward of a man who will file copyright strikes on my. He doesn't. Yeah, he'll file copyright strikes on my stuff to get it taken down, and he's notorious for that. Again, you know, I just looked through this and you can just see he might have an interview with some guy, a lot of claims. There's no papers, no subject matter shown, no physics, no literature, no science, nothing. That is what you get with Corbell. And it is, it is a complete show. It's got tons of people watching probably because there's no science. They don't need any kind of intelligence to watch it or understand it. Oh, and nice. Look at America's Untold Stories getting 2.7K views. They're killing it, absolutely killing it. And that's probably why I don't have a lot of people watching me talk about this topic. But anyways, yeah, his shirts are a lie. His whole thing is a lie. He's lied so many times. And he's gotten Congress to chase fake UFO stories and fake intelligence and fake information, and just waste a lot of their time. And it's almost like a demoralization tactic of people who are going to get tired of this and give up on it, because all they're being fed is, I believe it's controlled by the intelligence community. They picked this fucking idiot and they said, listen, we're going to post this guy up and pretend like he's the biggest expert. And it's disgusting what's gone on. And like, people have keep giving this guy attention and credibility. It's like, this guy should be booed off the stage and run out of town, man. Is there a single thing that Jeremy Corbell has given us that hasn't been debunked in the last 5 years? Is there a single thing that one of his inside sources have put out? Let's do a review on the flares. We could do a review on all the things that Jeremy Corbell's come out with. The Mosul orb, okay? Why do debunkers do mental gymnastics? Again, you got 6,000 views on that video because no one's doing mental gymnastics, dude. Like, we're doing real research and you're just putting out crap continuously. The pyramids. 2019, the U.S. Navy filmed pyramid-shaped UFOs. It turned out that the camera was a triangle-shaped aperture, which caused this bokeh effect. He's filming drones and filming stars and claiming he's got UFOs and all this stuff, man. All his evidence has been bunk, and it's just led us to waste time, Congress's time, and the Arrow's time. Sean Kirkpatrick had to address this crap in a public hearing, And when I go up there and try to talk to him, he don't even want to talk to anybody because he thinks we're all a bunch of Corbells, dude. And that's how all the government feels. It's just a big muddying of the water, dude. It's like it's like an age-old tactic. Exactly. And that's all these guys have done, especially they keep promoting the same one physicist, this guy, Bob Lazar. And the fact that he's out there, Bob never worked on any of these programs. I hate to tell you, people, he never did. He's a liar. And these people are liars. And the fact that I can call them out by name and say that, they would never mention me. They'll say, oh, the debunkers and this and debunkers that. And call me out by name and have a debate. I went and got the skeptics. I went and debated Michael Shermer. I've debated Mick West. Let's see Jeremy Corbell debate somebody. Please, man. It's just bad what's going on. It's a bad excuse for people's intelligence. They think that this is legit. They think that this guy's a real person that's like genuine that he wasn't pulled out of John Lear's basement and propped up as an intelligence asset by the community who realized they could use him because his ego is so huge and he's so dumb. He just spreads this stuff thinking it's from legit insider sources and doesn't fact check any of it. And it's also, his name's Jeremy, which gets me even worse because it's a bad name for all the rest of us Jeremys that do good work. Exactly. People don't want to look into Jeremy Risk because like, oh, yeah, it's Corbell's cult. Yeah, exactly. Well, his time's coming up. I tell you what, I got something up my sleeve that's going to take down Corbell and Knapp once and for all. And they will not be heard from or have ever had their evidence considered inside a congressional hearing again. They are an absolute disgrace to ufology and the lies that they have perpetrated for profit. They're the worst example of grifters. And I hope to God that them and the Ancient Aliens people just, go on and get the hell out of here. And just, you've given us a bad name and just ruined the research for so many people. And I can't wait. I can't wait till the television producers in like 10 years are going to be begging me to make TV programs about this. And anyways, this is, YouTube's crazy. It's just, it's entertainment, and I'm glad you all are here watching. Thank you guys. And thank you guys so much. In any case, yeah, George Knapp, he's the one that brought the Bob Lazar story out, man. They hired him to bring the Russian documents out when the Russians were supposedly releasing all their UFO files, and they were going to make it public and bring it out to the public. George Knapp was chosen as the person to do that. So it's obvious that he's some kind of handler for the intelligence community and has been for quite some time. The fact that he's out there in the mainstream and these guys get on Joe Rogan 5 times is all the proof that I need personally to know that this is just an extension of what the church committee exposed during the 1970s under something called Operation Mockingbird. Operation Mockingbird, MK Ultra, COINTELPRO, all the psyops. And this is where it all started. I mean, this is the origin of it, if you want to go and look into the very beginnings of all this. So yes, education is definitely better than entertainment. It's not always as popular, but hey, at least we're doing the real work, man. And I thank you all for watching. Yeah, dude. Well, that's crazy, man. Well, Joe Rogan, listen. Joe Rogan admitted that the guy who does his booking for his show, the guy who's working to handle his contacts and had handled his contact, I forget the guy's name, but he's CIA. Yeah, he's connected to the CIA. That's the intelligence community, right? So absolutely. And Joe Rogan used to question everything. Okay? He used to question everything. He hasn't had a single other person from UFOs on his program besides Jeremy fucking Corbell 5 fucking times, man. The booker, his booker, whoever's booking his show, he needs to fire because that guy's a fucking CIA agent. And I'll bet my last bottom fucking dollar on that. You can take my fucking word on that. Absolutely. Come on, who's booking Jeremy fucking Corbell to come on Joe Rogan 5 times? The guy's a goddamn idiot. And then apparently Joe Rogan had Malcolm Bendall on, right? But because, Malcolm is, controversial science and stuff and free energy. So one of his physics friends told him, this guy is, a hoaxer or something. And again, I'm skeptical of Bendall too, But if he's going to get on Joe Rogan, he might as well let him, and then we can go and expose him. If Joe can't, at least give him the platform so that you give him enough rope to hang himself. If he's full of shit, and if he's not, then at least give him the opportunity where it's a platform to get the information out there. The fact that Joe Rogan interviewed Malcolm Bendel on the advice of Randall Carlson, he released the Randall Carlson interview, but Joe Rogan never released the Malcolm Bendel interview. So why not? Who's influencing Joe Rogan to interview certain people and then not release certain interviews and stuff? That's what I want to know. And that's what I'm going to ask Joe Rogan if I ever do get on his show, but I doubt I ever would. I almost bet. I will bet that I will not get on Joe Rogan because he's controlled by intelligence community. And I'll call Joe Rogan out, man. Because Joe Rogan used to question everything. He used to question everything back in the day. He had a whole show and he used to get deep on these conspiracies and really he was getting into a lot of deep shit and exposing real shit. And he even did on COVID, man. He had to speak out and the ivermectin thing and the way that they dragged him through the dirt made him look like an idiot. Someone got to Joe Rogan, man. Whoever got in charge of his booking or something is definitely screwing with all his stuff, because he hasn't had any of the right people on, and he keeps having why would he have Jeremy Corbell on 5 times in a row, dude? Like, nobody likes that guy, dude. Anyone who's, it's like, I find a few people that are just into ufology and are noobs that are into him. But as far as people that do real research in the real research community, everybody can't stand the guy. Yeah, it's weird, huh? It's almost like they showed him all right, well, you want to know about JFK, you're getting too close. They're going to show him the tape and be like, listen, we'll take you out if you don't, cooperate or something, man. I don't know, man. Just crazy, dude, how this is going on. I was already going off on Joe the 4th time he had Jeremy Corbell on, but to just go and have the guy on again to say what? To say nothing for an hour and a half? Literally, the guy doesn't have anything. He has no evidence, no proof, and he's just been a bullshitter, complete bullshitter. And then what the heck was he doing on the podcast with Bob Lazar anyway? Why can't Bob Lazar go on by himself? He's got to have a handler there. It's just weird, man. No. Jiu-jitsu, more like yoga. Corbell doesn't do karate, dude. He doesn't fight. He doesn't do any of that crap. Yeah, I wasted years on Knapp and Lazar, dude. I wasted a decade and a half of my life on these people, man. Of course I'm pissed, dude. I've gotten so much better information and scientists' names out there, verifiable, legit physics papers and science. And that stuff is just people would rather argue with me. People would rather just get me on to talk about Bob Lazar, man. It was I got a little bit of that stuff in on Concrete Podcast, but, mostly he wanted to ask about Bob Lazar, man. It's just it's like a layer of the onion. You have to unpeel all the layers of disinformation they've hidden the truth under, just to get down to the truth, man. Yeah, it's quantum yoga. All right. To get it straight. Any case, guys, thank you so much. Yeah, him having an intelligent conversation, it wouldn't happen, bro. He wouldn't be able to. He's a hype man and a carnival barker. In any case, Paul Corporation. That's an interesting connection that Eric Hecker was talking about on that last stream. Yeah, lots of interesting stuff. Go check out the stream from earlier, man. I'm kind of burnt out now. I just did 2 streams back to back, and we talked enough about our buddy here, Professor Jan at University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, man. May you rest in peace, and just know that people do care about the work that you've done and are looking into this and why you were murdered. And thank you for everything you've shown us, man. This is kind of it's enlightening to see. I'd never heard of this researcher before. I probably would have never heard of his work if it wasn't for this. So I don't know, maybe this was CCP or something, but that would have backfired if it was anyone trying to hush up the technology or hush up what he's working on. It's, if anything, it's brought my attention towards it much more deeply. We'll see if anyone else makes these connections, including other investigators or the news over the next couple days and stuff. See, hopefully there's some people from the FBI watching and maybe forwarded some of this information on to the investigators working on that case. And hopefully it helps in that investigation to find out, you know, what was the motive? Why would this graduate student, PhD graduate student, kill his professor? In any case, thanks for watching. If anyone has any other evidence or answers, please hook me up. Send me an email, thealienscientist@gmail.com. And anyone who wants to join the after party and hang out for a bit, here's a StreamYard link, but I won't be sticking around long. Thank you. Take care. Have a good night.